What if the truth isn't as easy to uncover as you think? What if all the evidence in the world can't make the truth come to light? Why do we always feel like confrontation is the answer, only to find ourselves facing more lies and resistance? What if the secret to uncovering hidden truths isn't found in accusations, but in the questions you ask? When it comes to uncovering hidden truths, many people make a crucial error. They mistakenly believe that accumulating more evidence, carrying out endless surveillance, or launching direct interrogations will inevitably force the truth to surface. However, this approach often misses the mark. The reality is that people are highly skilled at concealing their emotions, rationalizing their actions, and constructing elaborate stories that shield them from exposure. Instead of revealing the truth, this method typically leads to a labyrinth of lies and manipulation, especially when dealing with someone determined to keep their secrets. It's a natural defense mechanism and instinct to protect themselves from being uncovered. In situations of betrayal, such as suspecting a partner of cheating, confrontation and accusation often do more harm than good. The solution doesn't lie in direct confrontation. Instead, it's found in the art of asking a single, well-crafted question. The true brilliance of a carefully designed question is that it bypasses the superficial layers where deceit thrives. When asked correctly, a question doesn't simply solicit a response, it forces an emotional and psychological reckoning. It gently nudges the hidden parts of the person's psyche into the light, often without them even realizing it. This subtle yet powerful technique reveals more than just an answer. It pulls back the curtains on the person's inner world. Rather than pushing for a confession, the right question acts like a key, unlocking deeper truths that lie hidden beneath layers of defense. The real revelation doesn't come from the answer itself, but from the way it's delivered. It's in the tone, the hesitation, the anger, the confusion, the guilt, and even the micro-expressions, the tiny flickers of discomfort, the forced calmness, all of which signal something far more profound. These subtle signs give away what words alone cannot express. The problem most people face is that they ask the wrong questions. They ask bluntly, "Are you cheating on me?" This only invites one of two responses, a denial or a justification. But the person being questioned is prepared. They've already rehearsed their answers. Their mind is layered with excuses and justifications that allow them to lie without truly confronting the moral consequences of their actions. But how do you craft the right question to get the truth? What makes one question more powerful than the others? Let's explore the subtle art of asking the right question in the next section. As we saw earlier, the right question has the power to bypass defenses, revealing what's hidden beneath the surface. Now, let's dive deeper into why the nature of these questions is so crucial in uncovering the truth. When you ask a question that taps into the core structure of a relationship, something fundamental, like the shared meaning, mutual respect, or loyalty, it becomes impossible for the person to answer dishonestly without revealing an internal conflict. This type of question doesn't just seek information. It forces the person to reflect, often unwillingly, on the fracture between who they were in the past and who they have become in the present. Imagine asking something like, "Are you proud of the life we've built together?" Or, "Do you still feel like you're living in alignment with the promises we made?" These aren't questions designed for a simple response. They require a deeper, personal evaluation. A question like this invites them to confront the gap between their actions and their internal values, something that can't be ignored. The power of this method lies in the human conscience. No matter how much people rationalize their actions or numb themselves to guilt, very few can completely silence the inner voice that knows when something is wrong. That voice is persistent, leaks out in nervous laughter, in avoiding eye contact, in defensive anger, or in an exaggerated enthusiasm to distract from the issue. Even in the best attempts to conceal the truth, The body betrays what the words try to hide. What makes this even more impactful is that the very act of asking a question with such depth can shake the psychological walls the betrayer has carefully constructed to protect themselves. They often live in a split reality, one where they justify their actions and another where they know deep down they violated trust. When these two realities collide, the emotional cost of maintaining the lie skyrockets. In that moment, many people can no longer keep up the facade. Their emotional misalignment, the tension between the story they're telling and the reality they're living, becomes apparent. But there's something else at play here, something that holds equal weight in these situations: your demeanor when asking the question. If you ask in anger, accusation, or demand, you trigger defensiveness. The guilty person shifts into survival mode, and instead of uncovering the truth, you end up fighting their defensive strategies. However, if you approach the question calmly, sincerely, almost like a philosophical inquiry into the state of the relationship, you disarm them. You lower their guard, creating a space where honesty or the inability to keep the facade intact is more likely to emerge naturally. This approach isn't manipulation, it's clarity. It's about offering the other person an opportunity to reveal themselves without force, without escalation, and without the pressure of confrontation. So, how do you master the art of asking such questions? What do you need to keep in mind to ensure that the truth reveals itself in a genuine way? Let's explore the key elements of asking the perfect question in the next section. As we've seen, asking the right question is more than just a tactic. It's a test of your character and emotional discipline. Now, let's explore what it truly means to seek the truth, and how it requires more than just the right words. Seeking the truth is not just about asking the right question. It's about respecting yourself enough to pursue that truth without degrading your own self-worth in the process. It's about understanding that when trust is broken, it cannot be mended through coercion, desperation, or manipulation. The only thing that can restore it is honesty, even if that honesty leads to reconciliation or separation. And, perhaps most importantly, you must prepare yourself emotionally for whatever answer comes your way. When you ask a question that delves into the very soul of a relationship, you must be prepared to hear a response that can hit you at a soul-deep level 11 if it shatters you. This is the price of seeking the truth. It's not enough to just ask. You must steel yourself against the temptation to argue, to plead, or to deny what you hear or perceive. Your objective isn't to convince the other person to stay, nor is it to justify your own worth. Your goal is to stand firmly in the dignity of truth even if it costs you the relationship. In this light, asking the right question becomes more than just a strategy. It's a test of your own integrity, a challenge to your emotional discipline, and a commitment to reality over comfort. It demands that you rise above the petty need to control the other person's behavior and instead focus on aligning yourself with what is real even if that reality is painful. When faced with betrayal, a single question, carefully crafted and honestly asked, has the power to do what endless suspicion, arguments, and investigations cannot. It can reveal the truth. This revelation isn't achieved through brute force, but by creating a space where lies can no longer thrive comfortably. The question cuts straight to the heart of deception, like a surgical strike. And as the one who asks, you are left stronger, wiser, and far more free than you would ever be by chasing proof in a desperate spiral. Ultimately, this isn't about exposing the other person for the sake of justice alone. It's about exposing the truth for the sake of your own integrity, your future, and your peace of mind. Because once you truly know the truth, you are no longer trapped by doubt or fear. With that clarity, you can choose your path forward, free from the chains of uncertainty. In healthy relationships, emotional harmony exists between partners. This harmony is an unspoken alignment of feelings, intentions, and values, a rhythm that flows naturally between those who trust and love each other. But when betrayal enters the picture, that resonance is shattered. The emotional dissonance that follows may be subtle, but it is undeniably powerful, and it serves as one of the clearest signs of infidelity or deep secrecy. But how do we rebuild that harmony once it's been shattered? What steps can we take to restore trust or, in some cases, move forward without it? Let's dive into the next phase of this journey, how to handle the aftermath of betrayal and make the choice to heal or let go. As we've seen, the power of a carefully crafted question lies in its ability to uncover emotional truths. Now, let's take a closer look at how emotional dissonance works and how it manifests in subtle ways that can reveal what words alone may try to hide. While words can be fabricated and actions rehearsed, true emotional alignment is nearly impossible to fake convincingly over time. The truth has a way of leaking through in the smallest gestures, the tone of voice, the timing of responses, and the involuntary micro-expressions that betray the hidden feelings beneath the surface. This is what we call emotional dissonance. It refers to the internal conflict a person experiences when their outward behavior, words, or appearance contradict what they feel deep inside. For a woman who is cheating, this dissonance is a constant, draining strain. Her inner world becomes fragmented, torn between her loyalty to her partner and the secret she is hiding. This split creates a tension both cognitive and emotional that surfaces in many subtle ways, often unnoticed by those who aren't paying close attention. But with the right questions, this tension can be exposed, revealing truths that might otherwise remain hidden. Unlike direct accusations or confrontations that often invite defensive denials, questions designed to tap into emotional dissonance provoke a spontaneous response. These responses reveal much more than words alone can. When asked about loyalty, commitment, or the shared future, a woman hiding betrayal will frequently react with hesitation, a shift in tone, or even a brief moment of silence. These small cracks in her composure are where the hidden truth struggles to stay buried. These signs aren't simply random nervous tics, they are unconscious signals sent by the brain's emotional centers. They reveal the conflict between the truth she holds inside and the image she tries to project outwardly. The most effective way to spot this dissonance is to listen carefully, not just to the content of her words, but to the congruence between what she says and how she says it. For example, if she speaks about the relationship in warm, reassuring terms but avoids eye contact, or if her voice tightens when certain phrases are mentioned, this inconsistency is a red flag. Similarly, if she expresses love and loyalty verbally, but her body language communicates distance such as crossed arms, turning away, or restless movements, this is another sign that something may be off. These physical clues betray the emotional split she is experiencing. There is also the element of timing. Emotional dissonance can cause delays in answering questions or overly rapid responses meant to cover discomfort. When someone feels trapped between honesty and deception, their brain scrambles to craft a plausible answer, often leading to subtle pauses or filler words like "ah" or "well." These are not random. They are signs that the person is struggling to keep their story straight. On the flip side, overly quick, defensive answers may be an attempt to shut down further inquiry before the emotional dissonance becomes too visible. In these moments, the person is trying to prevent their inner conflict from becoming apparent. So, how do we use these signs to our advantage? What are the next steps once we've identified emotional dissonance? Let's delve into how you can interpret these clues and respond effectively in the pursuit of truth. Building on what we've already explored, we can see how emotional dissonance reveals itself in various ways, not just through body language, but also in speech pattern. Now, let's delve deeper into the contradictions that arise when someone is hiding a secret. While body language and speech patterns provide significant clues, the content of what is said also plays a critical role. When a person's explanations begin to shift, change, or contradict earlier statements, it signals their internal struggle to maintain consistency. This inconsistency isn't just a slip-up, it's a sign of emotional tension, someone trying to keep up a facade while battling with the truth inside. The more that person feels the pressure to maintain this facade, the more intense their emotional dissonance becomes. The contradictions become harder to hide, and they start to show. In many cases, the betrayer may unconsciously attempt to divert attention away from the core issues by introducing confusion, blaming others, or overloading the conversation with excessive detail about unrelated topics. This is a classic defense mechanism, designed to distract from the emotional conflict triggered by the right question. But the attempt to overcompensate only highlights the dissonance. It's like a reflex to fill the uncomfortable silence or shift the conversation away from the painful truth that's just about to surface. When someone betrays trust in a relationship, their behavior often reflects a complex dynamic between what they want others to see and what they are desperately trying to hide. To understand this even better, consider the concept of integrity as a mirror. Integrity, at its core, is about wholeness and consistency between one's values, words, and actions. When someone acts with integrity, their external behavior aligns with their inner principles and commitment. But when someone is hiding a betrayal, especially infidelity, this integrity fractures. The outward persona they project is often a carefully constructed facade designed to conceal the brokenness within. For instance, a woman who is cheating is often aware of the deception she's carrying. She instinctively projects a version of herself that aligns with loyalty, love, and commitment, because she knows these are the qualities her partner expects and deserves. This projection becomes a shield, a defense mechanism to protect her from suspicion, confrontation, and the harsh reality of her actions being exposed. Yet, no matter how convincing this outward projection may seem, it often contains subtle signs of the inner turmoil she's experiencing. These subtle signs are the key to understanding the dynamic at play. The psychological process at work here is called projection. Projection occurs when a person attributes their own unacceptable feelings, motives, or desires onto someone else, in an attempt to deflect attention from their own inner conflict. So, how can we identify these projections and use them to uncover deeper truths? Let's explore how to recognize the signs of projection and how they can guide you in understanding the real emotional landscape of a relationship. Building on what we've discussed, projection plays a powerful role in masking the truth. Now, let's explore how projection can be used to deflect blame and avoid facing the emotional turmoil that comes with betrayal. In the case of a cheating woman, projection can manifest in various ways. One common tactic is when she accuses her partner of being untrustworthy, emotionally distant, or inattentive. By projecting these negative qualities onto her partner, she shifts the focus away from her own betrayal. This strategy serves two purposes. It protects her secret and helps her manage the internal guilt she's feeling by convincing herself that the blame lies elsewhere rather than with her. Another form of projection is confusion. When confronted with questions about the relationship or her fidelity, she may appear bewildered or even deliberately confuse her partner with inconsistent stories or contradictory statements. However, this confusion is not always intentional. It often arises from the immense psychological stress of trying to maintain two separate realities, the one she shares with her partner and the secret life she's living elsewhere. The mental strain of sustaining this double life leads to cognitive overload, which in turn causes mental fatigue. This fatigue manifests in slips, contradictions, and a scattered emotional presentation that can sometimes be evident to her partner, even if they don't fully understand the source. Defensiveness also plays a crucial role in this process. When the cheating woman is questioned or even gently challenged, Her immediate response may be to defend herself fiercely. This defensiveness can take on various forms: anger, denial, shifting blame, or even playing the victim. Regardless of how it appears, each of these reactions serves the same purpose: to protect the fragile image she has created and to avoid confronting the reality of her actions. It's vital to understand that this defensiveness isn't just stubbornness or rudeness. It's a deep psychological attempt to maintain control over the narrative and avoid the shame and exposure that come with admitting the truth. The fractured integrity created by these projections leads to profound tension in the relationship. The partner senses this tension, even if they can't immediately pinpoint its source. Humans are naturally attuned to authenticity, and even without clear evidence, people can often sense when someone's words don't align with their actions, or when the emotional atmosphere feels off. This subtle awareness can stir feelings of unease, mistrust, and suspicion. The partner may have an inkling that something is wrong, but struggles to identify exactly what that is. The reason for this confusion is that the betrayer's projections are designed to obscure, confuse, and mislead. They keep the truth hidden just below the surface, just out of reach. What's important to realize is that the projection of blame or confusion isn't just a sign of weakness or deceit. It's also a reflection of the betrayer's own psychological pain. The pressure of maintaining a facade that directly contradicts their true actions creates a fracture in their sense of self. This internal conflict is what makes it so challenging to sustain the deception over time. But how do we navigate these signs and break through the facade? What steps can we take to address the psychological pain behind the projections and move toward healing, whether that means reconciliation or moving on? Let's explore how to manage this tension and approach the truth with clarity and confidence. As we've seen, the fracture between one's inner world and outward actions creates significant emotional tension. Now, let's explore how this internal conflict manifests and how understanding projection can lead to clarity in a difficult relationship. This fracture often appears as inner conflict, guilt, and anxiety, and can sometimes lead to erratic or contradictory behavior. A person may say one thing and do another, promising fidelity while acting in betrayal, expressing love while emotionally distancing themselves. This inconsistency isn't random. It's a clear symptom of the divided self trying to maintain a false narrative. For someone who suspects betrayal, understanding projection becomes key. It means recognizing that when a cheating woman deflects blame or acts confused, these are not merely tactics of evasion. They are, in fact, windows into her fractured integrity. Her external persona reflects the hidden truth she is afraid to confront. When you witness her projecting blame onto you or acting bewildered, what you're really seeing is the internal struggle of someone whose moral compass is broken, someone trying desperately to keep their deception hidden, even from themselves. This understanding shifts the dynamic from one of pure confrontation to one of insight and clarity. Instead of seeing the situation only through the lens of accusation, it allows the questioner to look beyond the surface-level defenses and understand what the projection reveals about the state of the relationship and the person they once trusted. Furthermore, recognizing projection helps prevent getting trapped in endless arguments or power struggles that only deepen the confusion and pain. Instead, the focus shifts toward identifying patterns of projection, noticing inconsistencies, and patiently seeking the underlying truth. This approach helps to avoid the emotional chaos that comes with constant confrontation, offering a more peaceful path to uncovering the truth. It's also important to note that projection doesn't always come in obvious or dramatic forms. Sometimes, it's subtle, nearly imperceptible. Small, repeated behaviors, such as constantly changing the subject, dismissing concerns as paranoia, or appearing overly concerned with the partner's flaw scan, also be manifestations of projection. These patterns accumulate, creating an atmosphere where honesty becomes harder to achieve, trust erodes, and emotional distance steadily grows. In a broader psychological context, projection serves as a defense mechanism to reduce anxiety and protect the ego from uncomfortable truths. For the cheating woman, this defense is often necessary for survival in the short term, but destructive in the long term. The more she projects and defends herself, the more isolated and estranged she becomes from her partner. As the cycle continues, the fracture in her own sense of integrity deepens, and growth becomes increasingly difficult. So, how do we break this cycle of projection and restore integrity to a fractured relationship? What steps can we take to heal and move forward? Let's explore practical strategies for overcoming emotional dissonance and rebuilding trust in the next section. Building on our understanding of projection, we now see how recognizing it can guide the betrayed partner toward healing. Let's explore how approaching the situation with clarity rather than suspicion or anger can open the door to deeper truth. For the partner seeking truth and healing, recognizing projection as a symptom of fractured integrity offers a vital path forward. This insight encourages them to approach the situation not with blind suspicion or rage, but with a clear-eyed understanding of what projection truly signifies. It doesn't excuse the betrayal, but places it within the broader context of human complexity and psychological struggle. The betrayed partner gains the ability to see beyond the surface-level defenses, understanding that there's more at play than just deceit. It's a battle within the betrayer's own psyche. This perspective also highlights the importance of asking questions that cut through the layers of projection. Rather than directly confronting the deflections, accusations, or confusion, it's far more effective to focus on the core values, shared goals, and emotional honesty that define the relationship. When a cheating woman is confronted not with accusations, but with sincere, thoughtful inquiries into the heart of the relationship, the projections begin to crack. They cannot answer these deeper questions without exposing their inner conflict, and in doing so, they reveal the very truth they are desperately trying to conceal. Ultimately, integrity as a mirror means that what a person projects outwardly is often a reflection of what they are struggling to hide inside. For a woman engaged in cheating, her projection serves as both a mask and a signal. It's a mask, crafted to protect herself and her secret, but it also functions as a signal to those who are willing to look beyond the surface that something is terribly wrong. The projection speaks volumes if only we know how to read it. The challenge for the betrayed partner lies in learning to read these signals accurately and responding with a combination of courage, patience, and self-respect. It requires strength to confront the painful truth, to understand the fractured integrity beneath the facade, and to make decisions moving forward with clarity and dignity. This is not an easy process, but it is necessary for true healing to occur. There is one question, however, that is so powerful, so deceptively simple, that it can pierce through the layers of deception, confusion, and emotional barricades that a cheating woman might erect around herself. This question doesn't confront her with a direct accusation, nor does it demand an immediate confession. Instead, it forces her to reflect on the very foundation of the relationship she is part of, a foundation built on trust, shared values, and a common vision for a future together. The question is, are you still proud of the life we're building together? This question operates on multiple levels simultaneously, which is what makes it so effective. It challenges the betrayer not only to consider the factual elements of the relationship, but to engage emotionally and morally with the meaning of their actions. It compels her to conduct a self-assessment that goes beyond words, forcing her to confront whether her current behavior aligns or misaligns with the trust and commitments that once defined the relationship. So, how does this question shift the dynamic between the partners? What happens when the betrayer is forced to confront their own actions? Let's explore how the truth begins to unfold when the foundation of the relationship is questioned and what the next steps might look like in healing or moving forward. Building on our exploration of the question that reveals deeper truths, let's dive into how this question can illuminate the internal struggle and contradictions within a relationship. When a woman cheats, the damage rarely stops at just the physical or emotional betrayal. It fractures the very foundation of the relationship, the shared meaning and purpose that once bound the partners together. The life they were building together represented more than just cohabitation or daily routines. It symbolized shared dreams, mutual sacrifices, and a future imagined by both partners, a future they hoped to create together. This question forces the person to confront what they have contributed to that shared vision and, more painfully, what they may be tearing apart in the process. The power of this question lies in its ability to expose contradictions. If she answers affirmatively, expressing pride and commitment, it becomes increasingly difficult for her to maintain the facade of secrecy without triggering internal conflict. But if she hesitates, avoids the question, or answers negatively, she inadvertently exposes her emotional and moral disconnect from the core of the relationship, the very essence of what they once shared. This question is not simply about exposing the act of cheating. It's about illuminating the internal struggle that betrayal ignites within the betrayer. A woman who has cheated may have convinced herself through various justifications that her actions are acceptable or excusable. However, when confronted with the reality of what she is dismantling the life they built together, she is forced to face the truth that cheating undermines not just trust, but also pride in the partnership. Pride in this context is not a shallow or surface-level emotion. It's deeply tied to integrity, respect, and a sense of accomplishment. If she can no longer be proud of the life they share, it indicates that the betrayal has not only affected trust, but has also undermined the very identity of the relationship itself. The beauty of this question is that it removes the immediate pressure of direct confrontation. It invites reflection rather than defense. By asking this question, the conversation shifts from one of accusation to one of self-examination. It opens the door for honesty, as it appeals to something intrinsic within the person, something that is incredibly difficult to fake. Their genuine feelings about their actions and the consequences of those actions on something greater than themselves. Pride serves as an internal gauge, reflecting the alignment or misalignment between one's values and behavior. When someone's actions are out of alignment with their values, the discord doesn't remain hidden for long. It shows through subtle yet undeniable signs. Furthermore, this question implicitly invites a conversation about responsibility. It asks her to consider whether she is willing to take ownership of how her choices affect the future they were supposed to build together. How do we navigate the emotional and moral consequences of these realizations? How do both partners respond once these internal conflicts are laid bare? Let's explore the steps toward resolution, whether that involves healing together or making the difficult decision to part ways. Building upon the understanding we've gained, it's clear that taking ownership is essential for moving the dynamic from blame to accountability. Now, let's explore how asking the right question can create space for emotional strength and vulnerability, leading to potential healing. Ownership is crucial because it shifts the dynamic from victimhood and blame to accountability and the potential for healing. If the answer reveals disconnection, it opens the door for an honest, direct conversation about where things stand, rather than hiding behind lies or avoidance. This conversation isn't easy, but it offers a chance to face the reality of the situation, and it requires both the questioner and the person answering to hold a space of emotional strength and vulnerability simultaneously. Asking, "Are you still proud of the life we're building together?" means being prepared to accept whatever truth comes in response. It requires not letting the fear of pain stop the pursuit of clarity. This question doesn't just ask for an answer. It asks for openness, even if that answer is difficult to hear. It means responding not with anger or accusations, but with calm honesty and an openness to confront what must be faced. This question can trigger intense emotional reactions because it cuts straight to the heart of identity and values. For a woman who has cheated, pride in the relationship is complicated by guilt, shame, or denial. She may respond with defensiveness, confusion, or even anger, but these reactions themselves are telling. They indicate that the question has struck a nerve proof that the integrity of the relationship is under threat, and she knows it. When this question is posed calmly and sincerely, it disarms typical defenses. It signals that the questioner is not seeking a fight or superficial answers, but is genuinely interested in understanding. This tone encourages the responder to lower their guard, even if only slightly, allowing cracks to form in the emotional armor that has been built. The question doesn't demand an immediate yes or no. Instead, it invites contemplation, which is often more revealing than any rehearsed denial. In addition to exposing emotional misalignment, this question also sheds light on future intentions. A woman who can no longer say she is proud of the life they've built together is implicitly signaling that the relationship may be in jeopardy. Her answer could open the door to discussions about whether the relationship can be repaired or if it has reached an irreparable breaking point. What makes this question so powerful is that it reframes the conversation. Instead of asking, "Are you cheating?" which invites a defensive denial, it shifts the inquiry to a broader question about shared values and emotional truth. It moves the focus from blame to reflection, from accusation to dialogue. This shift is essential for maintaining dignity on both sides and creates the possibility for honest, open communication. The potential for transformation lies in this question: whether the relationship continues or ends. It forces both partners to face reality. For the one asking, it's a way to reclaim agency and clarity. For the one answering, it becomes a moment of reckoning, a confrontation with the consequences of choices made in secrecy. Importantly, this question isn't a magic bullet. It won't instantly resolve everything, but it is a strategically insightful tool that disrupts the narrative a cheating woman may have constructed around her actions. It forces her to look inward, breaking through denial and evasion, and demands that she engage with the uncomfortable truth that is necessary for anyone navigating the painful uncertainty of betrayal. This question serves as a powerful starting point. It embodies courage, clarity, and emotional intelligence, all essential for facing the truth, whatever that may be. Now that we've explored the depth and impact of this question, let's look at how to navigate the aftermath, whether it leads to healing or a decision to move on. What steps can be taken to rebuild trust? Or how do you part ways with dignity when the truth is revealed?